Hello folks and welcome back to twitch.tv/gameswithnick. We are gonna finish this game today. We've completed all of the side quests. I don't think there might be one or two more that we might stumble upon, but I doubt so. We are at the last main case, Sacrificial Lamb. And after that, there's sort of a little coda where we wrap up the A Mother's Love main quest. So, next couple hours, we might very well finish this game. That's my plan, at least. And when that happens, we will have finished the entire Sherlock Holmes Progress franchise. Minus the first game, but it's really not that great and also not good to play and stream these days. It's just too old and modern PCs just can't really handle it, so. Now, we were invited to a masquerade. Which essentially is one of those orgiastic parties where that poor refugee girl was raped in the previous case. So, you know, fun times. Oh, it's actually this villa up here. Totally fine. Nothing creepy whatsoever about this thing. Yep, no, it's fine.
Welcome, sir. I do hope you enjoy yourself.
Alright.
Enjoy the evening, sir. There is still plenty of time before the grand finale.
All right.
Some people are very scantily clad. I have never seen Eyes Wide Shut, but I suspect this is an inspiration for this particular party in case.
What if I write an article about these people here? Can you help me gather information about Cordona's elite?
Let's see what we can do.
I guarantee we'll have a good time.
My goodness, Sherlock, they made a blood fountain.
No, John, it's definitely not blood, just wine. Gahor, is it a guess?
Do not distract me. It's not easy to play blindfolded.
Codex Orchis. Why does this occult book sound like a flower? Romantic poetry and prose. Someone's in touch with their feelings. These medieval botany and chemistry books look even more satanic than the occult ones. Well-known and recent plays to keep up to date with the current trends.
Yeah. Nice library at the very least.
Sherlock! Friend! I wasn't sure you'd come.
How did you recognize me?
Werner, I see you are not yourself.
The more time you spend here in Cordona, the more I feel it my duty to bring you into our world and show you all we have to offer.
And what is on offer today?
Pleasure, indulgence, relief, and relaxation.
To be honest, that sounds pretty good.
Some time for yourself, have you not?
Those who know me would say I'm incapable of it.
Nonsense. I refuse to believe there is anyone permitted to know Sherlock Holmes.
Huh. You may be right.
Then free yourself from inhibition and expectation. The night is young, and so are the guests. You should try to enjoy both. It's not healthy for handsome men to spend every night alone, and certainly not in a house filled with such melancholic memories.
I must admit, my travels have proven more taxing than expected. I'm less confident in my life and myself. Time of relaxation seems a distant dream.
So can I tempt you with a physical aid to your moral consolations? There's wine, of course, and something to smoke, or perhaps an artificial paradise? Yes, something more spiritual, a potentiator to sharpen the mind. A 7% solution of, well, that'd be telling, but you must try it.
My mind is my most valuable asset, and a finely tuned instrument I will not risk impeding its function. My ultimate duty is to provide the world with truth, and I do that perfectly well as is.
Duty? You've never cared about that before.
Of course I do. Exposing a lie, revealing a fact, that is a moral responsibility.
Okay.
That's not morality. Morals are what happens afterwards when truth collides with consequence. Do you ever follow up on cases you solved? Do you ever see what happened next, visit the victims, ensure justice is served in the courts? And how do you choose where to direct your attention? Are there not deserving causes to which your brilliance could be applied but isn't?
You ascribe me more power than I possess.
Yeah, because I
have a
like puzzles,
narrow
essentially,
skill
is
set
what's up.
and work within that mandate. What occurs afterward is irrelevant.
With every action or inaction, you place a finger on the scales of morality. Many in the city would see you as abdicating your responsibility.
I haven't.
Not me, of course. Morality is subjective, just like truth. There is little to be gained from indulging in it, and far better things to indulge in. Now I must insist on easing any burdens I've placed upon your shoulders. Show yourself a kindness, and try this rather delectable concoction.
If this solution truly does assist with thinking, then well, perhaps it would be puerile to overlook an opportunity to study it. I'll take it with me.
Yes, Sherlock. Very good. And now, our evening begins in earnest. I just remembered. I'm sorry, Sherlock. My mind's delightfully impaired. Please take this key. It opens the altar room, past the library.
Pardon? Altar room? What now, Werner?
Go quickly and find our Fabio. Only you can make him talk. I'll join you in a minute.
This seems very weird. But then again, given where we are, not much of a surprise.
Nancho's had to inform.
No. Alright, I think we found our Jonathan. People described a scandal from a previous party. Vice Governor Cowden was found by his wife-to-be, a Prussian duchess, in the company of young men. Although the marriage was intended to be a political one, the emotions of the duchess were real. The incident instigated a political crisis between Cordon and Prussia. Although there were only a few notes of protest, the governor fired his proudly shade.
That's what I like about this party. Bring me more dirt, Sherry. One more piece, and I can expose these base hedonists.
This was the entrance.
You know what's had.
Yeah, I love how we're overhearing from very close. Before Manchio's family, the mansion was owned by an occultist architect. He dedicated his life to conducting a powerful ritual from the Forgotten Tome, but the ordinary magic circles proved too weak for it. This was why he built this mansion. A keen eye might notice that its shapes correspond with certain magical symbols in some walls and cavities. One day, the architect simply disappeared. An ash stain on the floor was all that remained. Perhaps he was successful in his endeavor.
I'll pin them down with this scoop. Thank you, Sherlock. Curtains do not guarantee privacy.
And you still need a crack, despite being ethereal.
Alright. Go to this altar room. And we have a murder. Shocking.
my god. Was he here this whole time?
And what are the odds of Werner knowing about it, you know?
This crew tattoo partially covers a slave branding. This worm-like sigil has been drawn with his own blood. This golden handle has a bloodstain on it. The dagger is heavy and sharp, but lacks balance. The wound is deep. A precise strike reached the heart. A blunt-force trauma may have suffered an internal hemorrhage.
Something am I missing? Here.
The victim has clenched the fabric so firmly in his fist that it's nigh impossible to remove it. He died right here. The sign reminds me of the astrological symbol for Mars. This one looks like a twisted symbol of Venus, drawn in a hurry. This oil has a slight aroma of flowers and olive. The ointment smells mouse-like. I presume it is an aphrodisiac prepared from a Spanish fly. The herbs here are Salvia divinorum.
Yeah, Salvia divinorum!
To emphasize the
We know
smell.
all about Salvia divinorum. You should check out our contradiction playthrough. That's a very fun game.
This elaborate box must be for the ritual dagger.
Okay.
Enough cigars to burn down the entire mansion.
Well, you probably only need one in the right spot, you know?
Why don't people tidy up after themselves? Blood. A sturdy bottle met a not-so-sturdy human. It didn't break only because it was unopened. An open wound spoiled the carpet.
Before we talk to him, let's
A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood. A bloody handprint on an armchair. The wounded person was here for some time. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar.
I guess I do have to talk to him at this point.
Werner, care to explain what is going on here?
On nights like these, it's not unusual for some attendees to get a little exuberant. It's part of the
You call that
appeal.
exuberant?
Unfortunately, it appears things have gotten out of hand. Yes, some are more prone to bend the rules of morality.
That's murder. I doubt there's anything left to bend. Why did you not tell me immediately? We were chatting about trivial matters for some time.
If I'm completely honest, Sherlock, I've consumed a rather potent cocktail of substances. My attention slips and drifts. But I'm glad I thought to call for you.
You sent me a disguise.
Oh dear, did I? Well, since I found the body, Mr. Manchios has agreed that you can investigate the matter. I promise my mind will behave itself going forward.
All right. Pull yourself together, Werner. What is it about these nights that you were so eager to share with me?
Well,
think
they're
the
not
drugs.
always in the evenings, but they are in the shadows. People gather to test their boundaries in a safe and consensual atmosphere, often with more stains than your typical crime scene. But that is the point. Who are we to judge?
I suppose that's fair. What about today, then? Was anything different?
Well, I was invited as a special guest. It was supposed to be a time of both divine and carnal pleasures. A scratch for every unconventional itch.
I imagine you're reeling from your shattered expectations.
On the contrary, there is still spectacle, stimulation, and release, merely in a different form. I like to let life entertain me.
Or death. Mr. Manchos is the owner of the manor, yes?
And the host of Cordona's most memorable parties. He promises even the ugliest guest a partner for the night. And for the ones with more unconventional tastes, Mr. Manchios provides other services.
What a caring person.
You cannot begin to imagine.
How did you discover the body? In between guzzles of alcohol?
I was set to perform in a fecundity rite with Fabio and came to inquire further. It was a staged ritual where he was to play the principle of life.
And the rehearsal was unsuccessful?
Who knows? I found him alone on the altar, his blood dripping to the floor.
And then?
Then I called Mr. Manchios. He was panicking, so I told him about you. We left the room and locked the door. Then we were...
Filling time?
Waiting for you was stressful. We indulged in some simple comforts. Overindulged, perhaps.
Were you well acquainted with Fabio, the victim?
Everyone knew Fabio, or wanted to. His beauty was the talk of the island. Too handsome to go unnoticed. He was magnetic. Fat wallets fought for the privilege of having him. He
was
the
also a
pleasures of
former
performance,
slave.
And more.
What about the fertility ritual? There was something about Fabio being a principle of life.
Fabio was supposed to portray the beauty of life's origin. Flowers, oil. Not this travesty that seems straight out of the Inquisition.
So this ritual is not the fertility rite. What was it meant to look like?
It begins with a woman lying naked in a flower bed on the altar. She represents Gaia, the earth. As I cover her in oils, we chant for the principle. As our calls reach a climax, Fabio enters and copulates with her. After he finishes, I stab her with a dagger. That part's just pretend, of course.
But the intercourse is not?
I did not expect you to be such a prude. Are you a virgin? It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it would explain the color of your cheeks. The fertility rite marks the start of our festivities. The principle of life is beautiful, intimate, essential. It must not be stopped.
Yet it appears that someone did stop it. What about the naked woman? Can you tell me anything about her?
Oh yes, Matista. She's one of Fabio's compatriots and a performer too. I haven't seen her today, actually.
When you discovered the body, was the door open?
No, it was locked. Oh, that reminds me. It's a minor detail, but the first time I came to speak to Fabio, I left without entering, having been unable to open the door.
You didn't have the key?
No, I had it. Don't look at me like that. I was mostly sober. I suspect there was a key in the other side of the door, blocking the lock.
That detail may very well be major, Werner. Well done. So you returned later only to find the lock was not blocked?
Correct. After an hour had passed, I tried again and was able to unlock the door. That's when I discovered poor, handsome Fabio.
The police remain unaware of this tragic event?
Some of them may be hiding behind their masks. They conceal many things. But we didn't want the authorities to create more problems. Besides, after a few cocktails, their incompetence will have soared to new heights.
How do you know I even want the case?
I promised you relaxation. If there's one thing I know about you, Sherlock, it's that nothing soothes you more than a good mystery.
Alright. Need to find Matista. What I really need to do right now is to just follow the droplets of blood.
The pitcher is empty, but with puddles around it. Blood clots are adhered to the sides of the drain.
Somebody washed off here, for sure. There's a rope missing.
Identical to the robes the guests are wearing. This is a different ritual.
I found a scenario of some sort of ritual with a remark written at the beginning. It says, "Read and rehearse this rite, Manchos." The naked woman lies on the altar on a bed of flowers, symbolizing Mother Gaia. The one who leads the ritual oils the body. The one who leads the ritual oils the body of the woman to awaken her inner fertility. Participants should chant at this moment and call for the man who can please Mother Gaia. Then the man who will impersonate the principle of life may come to engage in sexual congress with her. Alright. Don't ignore the guests, Matista, and stop boring them. They don't want to hear about your stupidities. They want to feel how beautiful you are and how generous you can be towards them. You are here to please and celebrate life. Remember, each guest paid a great deal to be with you. Manchas.
How can anyone accept such behavior?
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
A useful tool for a disguise arsenal.
Is this Manchio? Is this Fabio's thing?
Handcrafted and luxurious cufflinks. There's also a note. For my Fabio, Manchos. The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me. The capital F on the key fob might refer to Fabio.
Would you recognize me in one of these? I suppose not.
Similar to the guests' robes, apart from the bloodstains.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here.
Let's see. It was probably the murderer who closed the door. But no, they knocked him out here, that's why there's the bottle. Well, they must have dragged him, right? Oh, but then where does the... No, it's clear. They who washed off. What's the thing? I think this makes sense to me. Okay.
The bottle was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door. The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room.
Notice that he wasn't dead yet.
Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood. The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I...
Let me take a look at my Mind Palace. Fabio was killed in a ritual murder. Fabio was sacrificed on the altar during a cult ritual. No, the ritual was a cover, really. The murderer had a key to the altar room. So we also have to talk to him
I'm
about
starting to
it.
put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Werner. Yes, He was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all. The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who had the key to the altar?
I'm not sure. As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars. You can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry.
Mask with golden stars. And nervous. Yeah, it looks
Kurt
good.
Manchios, I presume. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
Did you know Fabio well?
People are starting to look at us, Sherlock. Change the subject. I can't believe what happened to him. To me. Such an atrocity. Think what it means for me. A wonderful evening for so many good, influential, and rich people has been ruined. I have betrayed all my promises of exotic delights.
I don't
Man.
understand. Surely a murder would affect your reputation to a greater extent.
Please, isn't this why you are here? I thought you were a silent magician.
What a
Do your
dickhead.
tricks and make it go away.
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos? Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo. In his opinion, at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista. Do you have somewhere I might have a private conversation with them?
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and Santos... Oh, yes. He will be busy with the servants. Or the cook. What's that noise? What's going on?
Ah, yes, I remember this.
Freeze, filth. You're under arrest.
Love hearing the Nutcracker. I do wonder if this is what will get the stream cut. Will get a copyright notification. And I'm thinking for sure.
Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologize for the inconvenience. Your Grace.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in his letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll
bigwig. My wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working on the paperwork for that case.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
Perhaps we can negotiate. I could be quite useful.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking...
I'm an honest investigator. Come on.
If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid.
Alright, so we should talk to people about the cufflinks and Vogel being in prison. What else? Nothing much. I can't change clothes here, really? Following a report from a witness of the satanic ritual who claimed to have found a body, the raid on the Manchester mansion was granted. It resulted in the arrest of multiple suspects and dispersal of the group in masks and robes caught in acts of gross indecency and unnatural behavior. The body of the victim was found lying on an altar with a knife wound in the chest. The officers identified the victim, Fabio, 20, local performer and artist. Arrested suspects: V. Vogel. V. Vogel has a letter of insulting nature in his possession which claims to be written by the victim. He claims to have found a body. He is infamous for his eccentric personality. S. Holmes carried a murder weapon, a dagger with the victim's blood, and other items of evidence. He was invited by another suspect, V. Vogel, presumably to obstruct the official investigation. K. Manchius. K. Manchius, the owner of the mansion and organizer of the satanic ritual, paid the victim to participate in the ritual, had access to the crime scene. Batista. Fabio's partner and participant in the ritual, tried to escape, resisted arrest. Owned the book with a description of the ritual performed in the altar room. Some of the guests are temporarily detained for further questioning.
Back on track to solve the case.
The provider of the stake has permission to inspect all evidence on case number 6260. Okay, let's go take the evidence first, I guess. I, Santos Pinchetti, am a witness who reports a suspicion of murder at Manchester Mansion in Grand Saray. During preparations for the social party, I heard loud noises from the closed altar room. Immediately, I thought of a sacrifice of a living being overviewed by none other than Kurt Manchius. There was blood on the walls, strange symbols, and a dagger in the heart. As soon as I was able to think clearly, I rushed to the police station to report my findings. The station responded to the position by sending a patrol while the witness left the station and went home.
Look, I found Werner.
Okay, evidence room first. Enemy, and we swap to a more appropriate wardrobe.
Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you.
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of
What
degenerates.
a bunch of
Wait a second.
degenerates.
I'll bring it to the table.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring. It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone. A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner. A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings. Her key to the altar room. That's not for bedtime reading. This ex libris belongs to Manchios Library.
Police found this occult book in Matista's bed during the arrest. According to the ex libris, the tome was taken from Mr. Match's collection. It contains illustration and description of a ritual similar to the crime scene. Prepare the naked body of a recently deceased object of interest. Draw symbols of Mars and Venus to enhance the power you possess, and use the force of the male and female nature. Pierce his heart with a golden dagger to be rid of the blood that does not love you. Draw a symbol representing your love. While waiting for the resurrection, recite the charm.
The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room.
Silver was found in Virgil's evidence box. Is your mind unsound? You can control your bitterness, not around me anyway. For me, it's too great a risk to ignore the kind of behavior. I can be, speak, and play with anyone I choose. I'm not under Matista. You pay me, but you haven't bought me. Of course, I'll keep all your generous donations, even though they hardly compensate for your last terrible outburst. I'm leaving you, while the Matista will still be around. Fabio.
Not the time for privacy. Werner's personal sketchbook. An emergency kit for boredom. Thank you, officer.
Alright. Gotta talk to a bunch of people about a bunch of things. Pinchetti is a suspect. Pinchetti suspect should be arrested and questioned. He had a key which he did not mention in his deposition. Let's go first to the archives to tell Constable Oswald.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
Alright. Alright, so...
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
Please accept my condolences for your friend.
Thank you.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Blackfield bruises. She inks herself. Self-inflicted wounds. She's nervous. She is a slave. Or was inflicted with an iron. Shackle scars that were barely visible. No, I don't think she's dissociated for her body. I think she probably punishes herself really fast.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a similar branding on your body.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
Couldn't help but also notice fresh cuts upon your forearms.
The cuts helped me to forget my past, to cover the old wounds and hide them.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Cordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
The bruises on your neck are not self-inflicted. Someone else made them.
Some guests can't contain themselves. They even bite, sometimes. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I've nothing to say.
This is the letter the police found in Mr. Vogel's pocket. Fabio wrote it. Do you know anything about it?
I don't. Although I can feel Fabio's energy. It's there, but it refuses to let me analyze it.
This book, The Power of Love, Blood, and Mandrake, what do you hope to achieve?
To learn more about the invisible strengths that govern us. Occultism is real. The master who fell that night when Fabio and I escaped, I made him fall. I cast a spell on him and it worked.
Sure.
Or was it a coincidence?
The universe is rarely so lazy.
If you say so. Do you practice occult rituals?
For protection? For fortune? To wash away the ugliness of the world? Sometimes to survive. I have the gift, and I'm learning to use it better.
Did you use your gift on Fabio?
I only used white magic. Love charms lately. Fabio became so distant. I just wanted him to be with me, but I suppose I'm not as skilled as I thought.
Okay. So she had a crush on Fabio from their recent past. And Fabio was just like, nope.
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers. The new blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Werner's friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy after all.
I need to examine you first.
I mean, he's a lecherous old man. Wears makeup. Soap under fingernails. Washed hands in a hurry. He hides his age. Clearly. I'm not even reading the description. It's like,
use of makeup,
clearly.
Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still,
Oh,
it shouldn't be
God.
an issue for someone of your status.
That's so
For
creepy.
people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Oh, all true labourers, I see. Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services. That's not something I know much about. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures. That's not something I know much about. That's not something I know much about.
I've read this letter from Fabio. It had no addressee, but it was found in Mr. Vogel's pocket.
Werner? Strange. I didn't think the two of them corresponded.
I'm sure there is some explanation. Would you care to read it?
Call me superstitious, but I don't care to read a letter.
Yeah, that's because that's a letter that he wrote to you, not to Werner.
You'd better ask someone.
Clearly.
I've no idea about that. That's not something I know much about.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
Ugh.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police. I've no idea about that. That's not something I know much about. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. That's not something I know much about.
There's gonna be something else.
That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else. I've no idea about that.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protege and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him.
Except he didn't want to be made by you. So we did that already. Vogel? No.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these.
A small note attached to the will says, Santos, my hopeful slug. You begged me to include you in my will, so I did. Here's my latest revision of the will. Kurt. Text of the will under the note. Santos Pinchetti, the metronome of the Mansion, receives a jar of mustache wax with a salt lamp that he might always remember his caring employer, Kurt Manchios. Damn. That's
Mr.
gold.
Pinchetti, a pleasure
That's
to meet you.
gold.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr. Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds.
Heard multiple times. Stepped in blood. Colored more than once. Suraz is her allergy. He has financial difficulties.
You are the majordomo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide, under heavy makeup, a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
I do not have a lot of means. The pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always, Fabio-centric?
And Batista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose. I can't help you.
Mr. Manchios says that you begged him to be included in the heritage. Isn't that a little extreme, even for a majordomo?
He's not only my employer, he's my uncle. And I'm his next of kin. The only one. Mr. Manchios flatly refuses to pay a family member. All I have to do is repay his so-called love, cleaning up the filth after perverts and decadents. He's imprisoned me. The best I can hope for is a new broom. That's why I wanted to have my part of the inheritance.
Is it that bad? You have a roof above your head, a salary, and the status of a majordomo.
For God's sake. I'm forced to dye and stitch my threadbare clothes, and the holes in my shoes are painful. I'm ashamed every time a guest looks at me closely.
Why do you think your uncle treats you this way?
My mother, my uncle's sister, had me illegitimately. She died, and I was given the surname of one of the maids.
But you are entitled to some of the money that belongs to your family.
He thinks not. I was not responsible for my mother's death. I work hard.
Well, sounds like Manchios is really a complete piece of shit, which is a shocker.
While he wastes our estate's property on decadent parties. He paid Fabio handsomely and showered him with expensive gifts for their disgusting relationship.
Damn. Damn. That's a lot of stuff. But,
Werner, are you alright?
Oh, yes, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion. My brother spent quite some time in this place himself.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go. They require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in, tells the officers what to think, and the world obeys?
Of course not. Anyway, I struck a deal with the constable, and I've got a free hand in the investigation. I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files about my mother's death for me.
Well done. If one has the power or will and can act, then one must. I wonder, suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really? How many white lies have you told on this island?
because I don't
Why
like you.
not for me?
Because I don't trust
Why
you.
not another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything
I
about
wish
this.
we didn't have to listen
can't
to the
follow you here.
line, but...
I can't follow you here. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. I'm not supposed to know anything about this. I cannot tell if it was truly in my pocket at all. Perhaps it was placed there later.
Well, that is one hypothesis. If it were true, then how did it get there?
No clue. But this night has been rather eccentric. Such a detail could have easily eluded me.
Indeed. Do you recall reading it?
I can't remember that either. But I tend to respect privacy. Reading others' personal notes is not one of my perversities. I don't think I can tell you anything about this. Do I know him?
The major domo of the manor? He cleans up after you?
Well, then he does his job perfectly. All but invisible. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him.
Manchios washed himself after the murder. Kurt Manchios cleaned himself of blood after Fabi's murder. Matista was bruised by the guests. Matista suffered bruises on her body from brutal interaction with guests during the party. Pinchetti missed the blood splatter. Santos Pinchetti failed to notice the blood stain on the side of his shoe while cleaning after himself after the murder. Batista may have used the ritual on Fabio. Batista may have performed a ritual on Fabio to bring his love back. I'm gonna say accidentally stepped in blood. That makes more sense to me. I think he cleaned himself of blood after the murder. Like, to me, that, Santos Pinchetti's efforts in vain. Pinchetti has been forced to work for Kurt Manchios in desperate hope of obtaining a heritage, but it hasn't paid off. Which was bruised by the guests. The letter may have been for Manchios. According to Santos Pinchetti, by the content of the letter may have been addressed to Kurt Manchios. Yes, talk to him about the letter from Fabio. Yeah, so let's go back. This jerk.
There is undeniable evidence that you were the original recipient of this letter.
What are you talking about? Is it addressed to me?
Your protege wanted a fresh start, it seems. This is sufficient to charge you.
Me? Hurt my star? Are you insane that you would accuse me of such a thing?
He did not consider himself as yours. Since you deny everything, let's move on. Do you have any idea as to how the letter could have ended up in Mr. Vogel's pocket?
You were the detective. Perhaps he took it from Fabio. Werner was a little high. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him.
Wow. I should still talk to, I don't know, Matista, maybe.
Could Fabio have written this letter to Kurt Manchios?
Oh. That could be. I never thought Mr. Manchios could make Fabio that angry, though.
What do you mean?
Well, Fabio wanted to disassociate from Mr. Manchios. Clients who are in love are both a blessing and a curse.
But Fabio was here tonight.
Money. In our line of work, we can't afford to turn down clients who pay as well as Kurt Manchios.
Was Fabio afraid of Mr. Manchios?
Not at all. The old toad wouldn't dare to do more than sweet talk and touching. Talk can be forgotten, and touching washed away.
Fabio broke Kurt Match's heart. Fabio shattered Kurt Match's feelings.
Please let me out.
I have reason to believe that the intended recipient of the incriminating letter may have been Kurt Manchios.
Well, that makes sense. Too bad I can't remember how I came to possess it. Though I did spend quite some time with Mr. Manchios during the party.
Unfortunately, even with an answer, that may still not be enough to clear you with the police. But fear not, I will persevere.
I hope your attempt to put things straight will make up for...
You being on a bender?
touché.
What am I supposed to talk to about it?
Please let me out.
I know I can handle the news.
I
Oh,
appreciate...
that's the accusation. That's all we're waiting for. Can I talk to the guy covering for me in the archives?
You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer.
This letter proves nothing. Fabio wrote it to Mr. Manchios. It's time to free Mr. Vogel.
Do you really think I'm that naive? I need proof, not words from his friend.
Very well. Mr. Pinchetti told me that Mr. Manchios was lavishing Fabio with expensive and eccentric gifts. The letter mentions rich rewards and attempts to buy Fabio with them. It was written to Mr. Manchios. Who else was showering Fabio with luxuries to buy him? It doesn't fit Mr. Vogel's character.
Look here. We had a deal. Give me the murderer and then take your friend with you. I won't budge otherwise.
Well, fine, but you're just wasting time.
We do have to make a choice. We only have two choices. Either it's Matista who killed him, or it's Manchios. The possibility that it would be Vogel actually does not occur. See, it's this book, and this is maybe the downside of this game, is that a lot of these cases, they don't have a clear answer, you know? Like, this book was found in Matista's bag, but was from Mr. Match's collection. So, would it be Matista trying to get it back? I think I'm just gonna go and accuse No, we're gonna accuse him and make him hang, because he's just a giant piece of shit. And again, it's a little bit of a bummer that
The murder of Fabio
there
did
is
not have a
no
ritual purpose, Mr.
correct
Manchester.
answer.
It was staged by a man
Only
who wished
circumstantial
to
evidence.
distract the investigation.
That might be true. That poor girl Matista wouldn't dare to kill the only man who cared for her. So, Santos.
Mr. Pinchetti snatched at the chance to solve his problems.
Ungrateful little scum. Will he be executed?
But what for? He informed the police as to the crime, that was all. He couldn't stage the ritual, but he found the body, I believe.
I can't believe it. Why did Werner do it?
Mr. Vogel. He had no reason, and he won't be a scapegoat as you planned. You put Fabio's letter in his pocket when he was intoxicated, didn't you?
You can't be serious.
We can very often deduce someone's life by their shoes or their fingernails. You are a meticulous
Honestly,
person,
it's
but this
well, you know,
murder was fairly traumatic.
if that letter was planned on, that
After
letter
you
was
stabbed Fabio, you
clearly
were covered in blood.
addressed to
You
Manchester.
panicked and
So
neglected to
either
rinse and
Manchester
soak
planted
your
it on
fingernails.
Vogel,
The devil is
put
in the
suspicion
details,
on
Mr.
him,
Manchester.
Nonsense.
or
missed it simply
Vogel
because
stole
of
it
the
from
busy schedule
Manchester
of
to
the
make it
party.
look like
Of
Manchester
course, a
was doing
staged
it.
murder was certainly not planned. You loved him. That is, you wished to own him with money and gifts. But he was also a free mind, was he not? He turned his back on him. Quite unjust. Love, so cruel and painful, and Fabio, with his words and deeds, made you feel the more wretched. So you killed him.
You must surely perceive that my sensitive nature wouldn't allow me
Oh,
to hurt
please.
anyone.
You staged the murder as a satanic ritual. It was easy for you, since you were the one who wrote the scenarios for the parties. It was your way of avoiding suspicion. A respectable man in his 60s,
Early 60s.
who hosts the cream of Cordona's society, cannot possibly be a murderer. But the guests who behave like animals in his mansion, of course, one of them could have killed Fabio.
I did oversee a few of the rituals, but I did not stage Fabio's death.
It was not premeditated murder, I don't believe that, but it was a
Fabio
crime of
played with
passion.
your feelings. That was painful to realize. You spent so much time and effort to be with Fabio, but he didn't respond in the way that you would have liked. You wanted to be loved, but Fabio shattered your dreams. In the smoking lounge, he teased and mocked you. He wanted you to suffer by offering himself to others. The deception was unbearable. You were passionate, and so you struck him. Once you understood your mistake, it was too late. You were afraid, so you staged the ritual. With such a story, you might be sentenced to a few years. It might clean your conscience, and soon the case will be forgotten.
No. No.
This is my decision. I'll talk to Constable Oswald to see what I can do.
This is actually a pretty disappointing case overall.
There's no fool like an old fool.
Because, you know, you
Manchos
explore,
did it.
like, 3
A
rooms in
young
the
boy
mansion,
played with the heart of an old
and
man.
then it's just talking
The
to a
latter
bunch of
couldn't handle
people.
it. The evidence I obtained clearly shows that the quarrel was not intended to end badly. It was an accident.
Showing pity towards your own kind, Holmes. Whatever.
All I'm saying is that prison won't take much away from an old and crushed man.
Fine. A big name like that will still give me a promotion. As for my part, not everything was in place. Perhaps some documents were transferred somewhere else, but I couldn't find a trace of them. Then I remembered. The discarded document drawers where we put the lost papers or the badly labelled ones. Including the crime scene report of Violet Holmes's case. Everything I've found is on the desk here. Take it.
Your persistence has saved me.
Yeah, well, we had a deal after all. Your friend is free then. You can leave.
Good luck, Constable.
Report number 743. Officers arrived to find the deceased identified as Mrs. Violet Holmes lying in the garden of Stonewood Manor. Visual inspection showed the victim to be thoroughly soaked with deep vertical incision 2 inches in length down her throat. Her face was swollen and covered in red blotches, likely because of that hypoxia, awaiting confirmation from a medical examiner. Main suspect Otto Richter was arrested on scene. The body was sent for autopsy.
The garden. There's a garden behind our manor. How could I forget? That's where it all happened, where it all went wrong.
Sherry, it looks like you've almost found what you wanted.
Alright, let's, My mother drowned. Her throat wound could either be a fulmination by her killer or a desperate attempt to save her. This little mother thread was an attempt to tracheotomy. It makes no sense to do this if she was drowning. Alright.
Oh, you did it, Sherlock! The case is closed and all rewards belong to the winner. Bravo!
It is merely the triumph of the truth.
Is it? No compromises? No lies? You're happy with your decisions?
Yeah.
Whatever the truth, it had to be revealed. The victim deserved it.
Well, you seem confident in the value of your actions. I guess since I'm free, you were heard after all. By the way, did you get that precious information about your mother? Oh, not that you must.
Yes, I did.
Forgive my intrusion in such a personal matter. I simply worry I'm failing to be of much help to you.
Actually, you were. For some reason, all the archives on the case had disappeared. This was a rare opportunity to obtain the impossible.
Outrageous. Perhaps someone found the truth unpleasant. Society usually rejects those who speak with too much honesty, doesn't it?
A comfortable lie is often preferred to an uncomfortable truth. Still, I believe that the latter should prevail, and I cannot remain silent.
That's quixotism at its best. Your mere truth cannot defeat institutions, systems, and power. Etiquette, religion, marriage, they're all lies told to preserve connections, love, and sanity, and it's all corruptible.
Lies destroy human dignity. How could you make a free decision without any knowledge of the truth?
Are we really free to decide anything in this world, Sherlock?
I get enough obnoxious pontification from my brother, so please, spare me your lecture.
Forgive my love for moral philosophy. I know I tend to ramble. You're a walking contradiction, Sherlock. You refuse to lie to others, but constantly lie to yourself. How long until the train comes off the track? I cannot look away, but perhaps I should take a few steps back. You're an accident waiting to happen, dear. Until then, I shall bid you adieu.
Still don't like Werner Vogel. Okay, let's go and find our garden. And figure out exactly what the fuck happened to our mom.
Sherry, please listen to me. Sherry.
John, I always listen to you.
You don't have to do this. You don't have to go through. I don't know what is beyond this door, but I can feel it. Buzzing, angry, like a fly at the window.
I know. I can sense it too.
You locked away this memory for a reason. There is only pain here.
Pain. And truth.
You do not need to suffer either. There is so much more we can do on Cordona, so many others we could help. There is no coming back from this.
John, my anima, my brother, there is nothing more important in this moment than this truth. I know you fear for me, but my path was set long ago. I can no more step off it than I can ask the avalanche to roll back uphill.
Just... please be careful, Sherry. I love you.
Quite. Come on. We'll go together. Why didn't I remember we had such a big garden?
Maybe you forgot it for your own good.
I'm just trying to let the mood settle in. Oh.
That
broken teacup.
Come here, Sherry. Hurry!
These must help calm her down.
What are you thinking about? Is everything all right?
And the graphics look weird.
Don't go, Mother, wait. I remember this artifact from Mother's collection. Mother's work journal. I liked poring over the detailed pages and reading about my parents' collection.
Here it is. We'll just borrow it for a while.
Did you hear that? Someone's coming. Let's take a peek.
You call this progress? Charlotte, amateur. I'm not letting you anywhere near my mother again.
Any result is progress, even if it is a worsening of her condition. It informs my...
No. I have made my decision. She must be sent to a legitimate medical facility. I will not let her hurt Sherlock.
What? Master Holmes, you do not understand.
That will be all. I expect you to have left the house by week's end.
Sherry, say something. Can you hear me? You're scaring me.
I'm waiting for you. Sherlock?
Coming, Mother.
Come closer.
This was for my mother, wasn't it? I remember how we came to the garden for a breath of fresh air.
Take me to my flowers, Sherry. They must already be in bloom.
As you wish, Mum. I bet you missed the fresh air, didn't you?
Terribly. The sun is far brighter than I remember. But I like it.
We can walk each day from now on, if you want.
That would be wonderful. Just look at them. The stars of the earth. Even the sky must be jealous of their beauty.
Indeed. Mother, would you like to go around the water?
That would be perfect. I always wanted such a nice pond in London. It looks so peaceful.
Mycroft knew you would like it.
We should put some fish in it, don't you think?
How about some carp?
That's a nice idea.
You can tell something's about to happen, and it's just so tense.
Let's visit your father's tree. It grows so fast, just like you.
We could even build a tree house in it.
Yes, Sherry. Speaking of your father, could you call him out, please?
Mom! I'm sorry. He passed away. He's gone.
No, he's not.
I'm telling the truth. Did you forget again?
No! Don't you dare say such things! You are a liar like all the others!
Mother!
Don't call me that! You aren't fooling me!
No! Mom, it hurts!
My son would never lie!
Mom, stop!
Who are you? Reveal yourself!
Please, stop! It's me, Sherlock!
You are not my Sherry! Give me my stuff back or I'll throw you!
That is pretty fucked up. My mother tried to kill me. My mother tried to drown me in the pond. It still didn't matter. After Mycroft got Otto Richter, he blamed him for her mother's death. Dr. Richter experimented on my mother with unconventional drugs and treatments. Every dose at a risk of side effects. My mother was used sedative frequently, so her body must have built up tolerance. It wouldn't be a danger to her. My mother was drowned. Otto Richter is responsible. Otto killed my mother to end her suffering and saved my life. Mycroft hid the truth to protect me and was correct in accusing Otto of impropriety. Otto killed my mother while trying to save me. The drowning was an accident, and he desperately attempted a tracheotomy to save her. Mycroft hid the truth to protect me and wrongly accused Otto. Let's see the other option. My mother had an unexpected allergic reaction to her medication and she suffocated. John and I are responsible. My mother died from an allergic reaction after we gave her sedatives with her morning tea. Otto Richter tried to save Violet, yet Mycroft deliberately blamed him for her death, despite John and I being responsible. John is the killer. I killed my mother without knowing it. The idea to give her sedatives comes from John, which means I cannot trust my own mind. To heal myself, I must get rid of John. Mycroft had the truth to protect me. I killed my mother. I am responsible for my mother's death. It was my idea to give her medication, which caused the allergic reaction that killed her. It's my guilt. Mycroft hid the truth to protect me. So, you know. This is probably the worst issue with the game. Which is that you do all this exploring and you get to know these characters, and at the end it's just a binary choice. Am I responsible for my mother's death? Or is Otto responsible? A tracheotomy was performed, which means my mother was asphyxiated. So, it makes me think that she had an allergic reaction. But the John is the killer and I killed my mother are actually... both endings are pretty crappy. I think that's good for John is the killer.
Sherlock. Sherlock. Can you hear me? Come on.
I'm GD16. Yeah, you know, you're right, it's true. Truth is subjective, variable, and dependent, but...
You knew, and more than that, you hid it.
But still something happened, right? Someone killed, or there's a reason why she died.
Your horror.
And it's just unsatisfactory to be forced with these...
She was hurting us.
This binary choice of it's either us or it's Otto.
I couldn't bear to see you suffer.
So you killed my mother. My worst impulses, my darkest thoughts, they're you. You were a lie, John, a fiction, a crutch.
No, I was a friend. Sherlock, please.
Sherlock?
What?
Are you okay?
I don't know.
I told you not to come, Sherlock. Where is he?
Who?
Your friend, John.
He's beside you.
Was all this worth it? Is he worth it?
Why is he here?
I think, in his own way, he was trying to protect me.
Physical effect, though, where John is
But now
starting
I must
to
face it.
disappear.
Whoa, 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 Sherry.
This, though, is a bit dramatic, honestly.
There is only one way through.
Through what? What do you mean?
My entire life, my work, my mind, has been compromised by a malignant force, by a perversion of rationality. By you, John. You're a tumor. You're a poison.
Sherlock.
And like a tumor, you must be excised for the health of the patient.
No. No, this is the lie, Sherry. I protected you. I am your friend, your brother. You know me. You know me. I was always there for you. When your mother lashed out, I took the hit. When you were alone, I
honestly wish that they had phrased this ending differently.
She needed to calm down.
Like, John being sort of a split personality of Sherlock.
Yes.
That comes out to protect him when his mother was foul towards him. That makes sense to me.
Please.
It's...
Please.
Trying to kill him, trying to destroy him, is not growth, it's just denial. Absorbing him as part of himself. That's what is supposed to happen. Accepting that the trauma existed and moving past it.
Are you alright?
I think, on the balance of things, no.
That is good news. To be unaffected by today's events would place you in a different pathology entirely. Your time on Cordona is over, Sherlock. Tomorrow we shall board a vessel back to London, and all this, it stays here.
He's gone, Mycroft. I needed to take control. He would help me, but it was a lie but he's gone. I knew he was wrong. Do you see? I am free. I just had to act.
Yes. In that respect, you are your mother's son.
To me, this is the proper ending, because this is the only one that I think thoroughly explains the role of John. But still, it's a pretty depressing ending to this game, no matter how you slice it. I don't know, I think it's Testament of Sherlock Holmes, Secret of the Pearl Earring. They are, to me, much prettier and nicer stories that have a nice little structure to it.
And to help a friend.
You and I are not friends. In a race between the thawing of the ice caps and our friendship, I would buy a boat.
Ha! Is that right?
I can see it now. I know what you did.
What did I do?
You needled me. From the moment we met, you were searching for weakness. You pushed me to pursue the truth about my mother. You questioned everything I did, everything I believed, to break me. To blur truth and fiction, reality, morality. A saboteur in silk. Was it vengeance, Werner? Or do you prefer Klaus?
Excuse me?
You are Klaus Richter, Otto's younger brother. You hold me responsible for his end.
Ha! There was no love lost between me and my brother. I am sure you can relate. Otto was merely the gravity that pulled me into your orbit. Or you into mine. Once I met you, I could not keep away.
Why? What reason do you have for all this?
To help you.
You're lying.
To show you that you were wrong.
More lies. I know you now, Werner. Try again.
To see what had happened. Or is that yet another untruth? Does it matter? Take your pick. Who cares? You're my masterpiece. I turned Sisyphus into Ozymandias. You could not see the futility of your quest until I helped you to let go of the rock. And now, nothing beside
With
remains.
friends like these,
I remain. Despite you, and to spite you.
It is a matter of will and power now. Will you overcome this, or shall you decay? Oh, on that note, I brought you something.
I want nothing more from you.
When one wants for nothing, Sherlock, the best thing to get them is something personal. So, here you are. Now, please excuse me, but the gallery calls. I'm already conceiving my next project.
Jesus. Is this Light Yagami from Death Note?
You really are beautiful.
I am all right. I returned to London and enrolled at Cambridge University. Their professors leave something to be desired, or perhaps I simply lack the interest in all but a few lectures. I prefer to spend my time at the local hospital pursuing things of practical use. Medical research, chemical tests and the like. Empirical truths. I try not to think about you. I try not to think about anyone unless it is in the course of an investigation. I've started to help people with their menial mysteries. It keeps the mind occupied. I cannot risk otherwise. I'm not like her. I'm not like you. I am all right.
It's at least an interesting ending.
I found it! I found it! I found it!
And what is that?
How far, bruises may be produced after death. How are you? You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive.
How on earth did you know that?
Never mind. The question now is about bruising. No doubt you see the significance of this discovery of mine.
It is interesting, no doubt, but practically...
Why, it is the most practical medico-legal discovery for years. Had we these data sooner, hundreds of men would have paid the penalty for their crimes. Cases oft hinge upon how a man died. Now, we can know which wounds he suffered alive, which occurred post-mortem, and what instrument was responsible. And ergo, one will soon be able to calculate with utmost precision when and where death occurred, sparing the innocent and damning the guilty.
Well, then you are to be congratulated.
Indeed. But, you came here on business.
Correct again. I am looking for someone with whom to take diggings, and heard you were complaining that you could get no one to go halves with you.
I have my eye on a suite in Baker Street, which would suit us down to the ground. You don't mind the smell of strong tobacco, I hope?
I smoke ships myself.
That's good enough. I get in the dumps at times, and don't open my mouth for days on end. Just let me alone, and I'll soon be right. What have you to confess now? It's best for two fellows to know what bruises each other carries before they begin to live together. My last companion and I...
Well, I object to rows because my nerves are shaken, and I get up at all sorts of ungodly hours, and I am extremely lazy. I have another set of vices when I'm well, but those are the principal ones at present.
Do you include violin playing in your category for route?
It depends on the player. A well-played violin is a treat for the gods. A badly played one.
Oh, no, that's all right. I think we may consider the thing as settled. Oh, forgive my manners. My attention wavers. Sherlock Holmes.
Dr. John Watson.
John.
It's a cute ending. Alright, and that brings Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 to conclusion, and with it, the full series of Progress Sherlock Holmes games. I think we're playing through this. I was very pleasantly surprised by Testament of Sherlock Holmes in terms of its overall narrative, and by Crimes and Punishment for the whole setup, honestly. I had a really good time playing that. And maybe to a minor extent Devil's Daughter. I think repetition sort of settled in a little bit at the point, but I think Chapter 1 is probably one of the weaker games. Like, I enjoyed playing through it, but none of the cases are good enough to get your attention in the way that something like the Silver Case, Silver Earring, there we go. The Silver Earring can be. But yeah, you know, it's, I really love the series overall. I play through most of them once every few years, so I'm glad to have done this on stream and have recorded the whole thing. And we'll be back with this feature when Sherlock Holmes The Awakened remake comes out in a few months. I might do a first playthrough on stream of that game. You know, I'm excited for it, just because I do enjoy The Awakened. I hope they just modernize some of it a little bit, but this should be pretty cool. So this is the last of these bonus streams. I think For the next week, I'm probably not gonna stream outside of the regular hours. And after that, we might pick up point-and-click adventures as bonus streams. Because, you know, they're less intensive. I can do slightly shorter episodes and things of the sort. We're currently playing scratches on the main streams, so I'm gonna wait for that to be over before I pick something else up. But it might probably be the original 7 Max game, with an eye towards, now that we've finished the Sherlock Holmes by Frogware series, maybe start a full old Telltale Games franchise series playthrough. So it's gonna be interesting. In any case, thank you for watching. You can find me at twitch.tv/gameswithnick and youtube.com/gameswithnick. If you're watching on Twitch, check out the YouTube channel. There's plenty of cool full playthroughs going up there. Point-and-click adventures, JRPGs, action games, there's a whole bunch. There's also some exclusive YouTube content. Playthroughs of Super Mario Bros. And God of War, the original one, are currently exclusive to YouTube because Twitch just won't let me upload them. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to come and check out twitch.tv/gameswithnick as well, see what I'm streaming right now. I'm recording this a little bit ahead of time of when it will publish on YouTube, so I'm not sure what I'm currently playing. But come check me out, and hopefully you enjoy what I'm doing. So, yeah, I think this is about it. Let's go ahead and skip the rest of the... And it just throws us back to the... Ooh, let's play more. Oh, it's just this. You can actually buy Meg Runner Dark Pulse on Steam. Oh, we should play Dracula Origin. That's a pretty cool point-and-click adventure. Yeah, I should put that on the docket. But, in any case, yeah, thank you for watching. And, I will see you next time.